Hi, welcome to Remember This. I'm your host, Denise Boland, and I'm really excited to have back on with me again timeline analyst, Bo Polny. Bo Polny, you are amazing. Bo studies history and the Bible, and he actually shows how the modern day prophets and the prophecies are lining up with Bible timelines. So how would you describe yourself, Bo?
That's pretty good. The best thing I can say is when you study history, you will have a glimpse into the future. And more importantly, right, what history is important to study, what I've discovered is if you study the Old Testament, you're going to have a very good understanding of what's going to happen in the New Testament.
Makes
And
sense.
that's written also in Ecclesiastes, that which has been will be again. And so because the United States is a covenant nation, so when the United States was founded, it was founded under God. The Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, a third of that is out of the Bible, meaning that, what's the biggest line in there, right? All men are created equal, okay? And that specifically is biblical, okay? Why do the evil ones of this world want to destroy the Constitution, right? Because they don't want equality, right? They want separation. They want to run the world, and that's why there's, that Disney movie called The Minions, right? We're
Absolutely.
supposed to be the minions.
Yes.
They're supposed to run the world, right?
And notice they have no gender.
Yeah, that's actually true too. Yeah, and so that's exactly it. Obviously the funniest thing yesterday was on Twitter, and someone posted a photo of what's going on in Canada, and they had all these like crazy people. I'm like, what is this, Halloween?
Really that bad?
Oh, you gotta check it out. It's crazy. All that's missing was Trudeau in that picture with his blackface. You know what I'm saying? But it's like they had the witch, they had the queers, like that had everything, right? It was like it's all over the place. So the point is, they're trying to remove, and they're using what and all men are created equal. How do you do that, right? You use the word ism, socialism, feminism, communism, right? And so what they're trying to do, and then there was actually a Disney movie made about that ism. You can Google it, but actually I think it's from like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and they actually talked about the ism. ISM, and what that does is going to allow for a separation and taking people to it's like, what's the best way to conquer anybody, right? Divide them.
That's right.
And so they used the ism. Before it was there was, because you were wrong skin color, you're black. Now it's opposite. Now you're white, you're the bad one. It's it doesn't matter what, and now the female's better than the male. It's just, it's everything is becoming upside down. If you study, God created man first, not woman. He created man first, right? And it wasn't until he created woman did Satan come to tempt woman, right? So man, it's interesting, but man was created first as the head of the household, right? And then women, and this is not stereotypical, this is biblical, right? But it's all but Satan's always trying to come in and separate and divide and conquer. And so all we're seeing in this world is them trying to separate and weaken the mass, because they are few. When I say they, the evil ones, who are the evil ones? You want to define that, right? The evil ones of this world are the same satanic spirits that were thrown out of heaven. Okay. So you have to, if we read Genesis, I think it's Genesis 6, it talks about, the war that broke out in heaven. Satan was thrown out with a third of the angels.
Correct.
And then what? Adam and Eve lets them on the earth. And then they mate with what? Woman, to create the Nephilim. And so why was there a great flood? Now, the great flood is an interesting thing to talk about, because it was God getting out of his seat and speaking and destroying evil, which we were about to witness again. So that moment in time that happened with the great flood is God, after watching and watching and watching. You know, all he
He's very
watches.
patient, by the
He's
way.
very patient, and the reason he does that because when he finally speaks, eras, eras are born.
Hmm.
Worlds are born. You get me? When the word of God is spoken, planets are born. Like in 6 days, everything's created. So you have to understand when God finally moves, it shifts everything we know. And so when you study history, you see moments like this, right? So the Red Sea miracle, the Red Sea miracle, same thing, right? What happened? Pharaoh it was basically Egypt was the powerhouse of the world. It was the world at the time. There really wasn't anything, there wasn't any superpowers beyond that, right? And if you think about what happened to Pharaoh, in a moment's time, God gets up, he speaks, right? Red Sea parts, and in 24 hours, the powerhouse of the world, Egypt, was destroyed. And Israel was freed, and the Red Sea, the red R-E-D, like there's no coincidences, right? And then the Red Sea Passover, you pay blood, the red blood across your door, right? And so it's always about the blood, right? And so Satan comes on to pollute the perfect bloodline. The perfect bloodline was what God created, man. He created perfection in his image. Satan can't stand God, hates God, and so he wants to destroy his creation. Back to who they are. They are few. Okay. It's when I say few, I don't mean like one or two, but there's thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, but that's it. Okay. That's it that have sold out. And so these demonic spirits that literally occupied these Nephilim, so the women, so the giant, the men of renown mated with the woman. It's in Genesis. And then they created what's called the Nephilim. And so God's watching all of this go on. And that was a complete abomination because it was man that was created by God, not hybrid Nephilim. Right. And so because of that, God had to, but he knew this was going to happen. Like this whole thing that's going on in the world, I can't believe how stupid evil is. Because if you study the Bible,
they don't learn their lesson.
Like, yeah, they don't learn their lesson, and God beats them up every single time, right? And so, people are watching what's going on in this world and going, oh my goodness, this is horrible. People, did you read the Bible? Every kingdom that's existed so far has fallen. Go read the Daniel 2 prophecy, right? Every single king of Nebuchadnezzar to Belshazzar to all the Greece, Rome, all these kingdoms have fallen exactly by God's design. Okay. So every one of them falls. So these I cannot believe that people still think, they're so wrapped up in the media and watching the news, think that God's actually going to lose to these people. He's a victorious God. He's the creator. He knows what they're going to do before they do it. He's fully in charge. He's literally playing chess. He knows what these people are going to do generations, thousands of years before they do it, before they're ever born. I knew you before you were born. Absolutely. Okay. And so he knows what's up. And so these Nephilim spirits, God creates, before he formed the earth, he did what? He stuck water into the bottom of the earth because he knew the Nephilim would rise. And then he broke open the ground and shot the water up, and the water rose up for 150 days. He knew what was going to happen. So he flooded the earth to destroy the Nephilim because they were the hybrids. What are they trying to do? Create hybrids again. Okay. That which has been will be again. So what's that mean? A prophetic word, as in the days of Noah, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. Okay. That's Ecclesiastes. That which has been will be again.
It can't be much clearer than that. And what was God's promise to us when the flood ended? Do you remember?
Well, the rainbow basically said he would never flood the earth again, right?
Right. And
But
look what they did with the rainbow, how they distorted that.
well, right, and they removed the color, right? And they just happened to remove the aqua color, so there's only 6 colors, right? What a coincidence! And everybody has to stand 6 feet apart. It's just like, And so the color of the rainbow is 7. There's 7 continents. There's 7 oceans. There's 7 bodies of water. There's 7 hills of Rome. Everything's mathematically 7. And when I do my timeline analysis, it's all based on the number 7, right? So that's a biblical number, but yet they decided to have 6. So that's not a rainbow. That is actually a symbolic whatever, it's a symbol of who they are, so that they're representing themselves. That's not a flag. I mean, that's not a rainbow.
Right.
Okay.
But the fact of the matter is, we can't wear. I used to put shirts on my kids with rainbows. Can't do that anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because now it has the stigma attached to it. No one's going to count how many colors.
Yeah, I mean, if you did it, make sure you have say this flag, this shirt has 7 colors.
Okay. Should come out with a shirt line.
Yeah, but it's a joke, right?
Taking our rainbow back, 7 colors.
What he's saying, he's a copycat, right? That's why,
Absolutely.
I can go on and on about this. You look at the Wizard of Oz, right? Why is that? Why yellow brick road? Why? Because if you study scriptures, heaven is paved with gold. The streets are paved with gold.
Yes.
Okay. So think about where was Satan before he was thrown out of heaven? Right? He was Lucifer, and he was in heaven, so he saw the roads paved with gold. Okay, so none of this is made up. And, where do you think the Wizard of Oz story came from?
Yeah. Well, there's cities beneath us. You do know that, right?
Probably.
In the tunnels. And one of them, and this is from someone who was in Satanism, one is called the Emerald City. And to get to it, you need to cross over a rainbow bridge.
No.
Somewhere over the rainbow. So it's all symbolic. It's like they're telling us what they're doing.
Sure. They tell us what they're doing, and they make a mockery of everything because they know that, they have. It's like when you go to college, right? And they have sororities and fraternities in college, right? All that is ground setting for later on in life, because they learn secret handshake. I've got kids, they go through stuff, secret handshake, sacred, there's always little secret things, right? And they're just it's symbolism of what really goes on in this world. So you don't think when people show up to Congress and everything else, they'll have secret handshakes and and secret things that they do, so so who's in the club, right? And and 45 was never in the club, and for that reason they hate him, right? And so that's the bottom line. You've got, and so who's occupying? Yes, there's people that are in Washington occupying these political seats, and not only Washington. We're talking. This is a worldwide venture, right? So at that time, we were literally a pharaoh, right? Pharaoh was the essence of the world. We hadn't expanded to. There weren't billions of people on the planet at the time. Now there are, right? So now it's worldwide thing that's going on around the world, right? So so that's why that was called the Exodus. And all that because we're 2 covenant nations, Israel, United States. So the timelines that foretold the events of Israel and Egypt, and just basically Israel, the Old Testament, are going to overlay on the timelines of present day. So things that happened historically. So Israel was in bondage for 400 years to Pharaoh. Coincidentally, the Mayflower lands 400 years ago, and 400 years to the mark, first seal of Revelation manifests. And what do you got? The world changed forever. So what was the first seal? Corona. When that seal opened, it's a worldwide event. So it happened on Hanukkah. So seals manifest on feast dates. They're God's seals. They're going to open on God's dates. They're not my dates, right? God set his calendar. I've been blessed. God has, allowed me to see and understand, I guess, the time windows of how much of this works. And so all I'm saying is that, from the time of Pharaoh, 400 years, will that happen in 2020? Furthermore, right, when you start, we talked about the number 7, right? 7 hills, 7 continents, you can just go on about the number 7 layers of the scalp, right? And so there's so much overlay within that number, but basically when you study Daniel and you study the, Revelation, And then Matthew and Daniel talk about the great 7-year tribulation. Like, none of this is a coincidence. I'm just really good. God's given me the ability to put this stuff together. I don't think there's anybody that I know there's no one in the world that does what I do. And I don't mean that to sound any more than
No,
God has
I
allowed
believe
me to
right.
understand and put this together. And I give it out freely to the world because God has blessed me to know how to do these things. I've used it, for my personal families, finances. And so when you have finances, you have a second thing that comes with it, time. And so the time that I have much of it. I'm able to put all these thousands of hours into these presentations to give to the world for free. Why? Because the information is so valuable to give people peace of mind. What is time? If you understand time, where you are biblically, then it takes away that fear factor. Because if you turn on the news, what are you going to see in the news? Nothing but bad news. So what's the Bible? Good news. Well, no one's going to be on the news preaching the Bible, telling you the good news. So Denise does what she does to get the good news out. What is the good news? The end was written from the beginning. God's in charge. Period. God's in charge of everything that's going on in the world right now, and we're watching everything unfold. But as you said, God is long suffering. What does that mean? He sits there and he just watches things manifest, because when he moves, like I started the presentation, when he gets out of his seat and he moves and he speaks, eras are born. Planets are born. Like, it's just incredible, huge things manifest. And so what happened at the Red Sea miracle, you have to understand, like, if this is going to be biblical, it's going to have to happen on a feast. I've said this in interviews for the past 3-4 months now. I said, if it's going to be biblical, it's going to have to happen on a feast that God wrote on his time point, not ours, right? So we might want X, Y, and Z, but God's got the final say because he wrote the plan, right? And how this plays out. And so, we had first seal of Revelation manifest on Hanukkah feast. Next seal manifested on Pentecost, May 31 of the year 2020. Peace was taken from the earth. And so we're waiting for the third seal of Revelation. Well, what is Revelation? It's revealing, right? So things I say today are, I think, far more powerful than what they were 3, 4, 5 years ago. Why? Because I've had 3, 4, 5 years of revelation. Right. And so what's the next big thing? Well, the next big thing to understand is we're literally getting into, like, tomorrow is crazy historically. So why do I say that? Well, because I've studied history. So if you want to share this screen, this is important to have a look. Look at this screen. So 15 Nisan is tomorrow. So yeah, Passover, technically starts this evening at sunset. Okay. But tomorrow is a crazy important day. It's April 6th, but basically it's the 15th of Nisan. Well, why is that a big deal? Well, like I said earlier, if you study history, you might have a bit of a glimpse into the future. What happened to Israel in the same time windows will happen to the United States. But we have to calculate when that is. So I've been counting. I like counting. I'm pretty good at counting. So I'm just saying this, in terms of fun, but it's true that if you look at if you start counting, you can actually calculate. And so what happened on the 15th of Nisan historically? Denise, this is crazy. 15th of Nisan is, okay, the first off, I want to illustrate how God's in charge. What's the worst day in the world that evil could have crucified Jesus Christ? On Passover, because then he becomes a Passover lamb. So it just clearly shows how stupid Satan is.
Right.
Evil. They actually crucified the Son of Lamb.
That's a good point.
on Passover, falling into the perfect, like talk about perfect chess
Right.
moves, because God's the master of chess. And so they crucified Jesus only to have him be the Passover lamb, fulfilling Isaiah 53.
Right.
Every part of it, the Messiah walked on the earth before the destruction of the second temple, again, written in the Old Testament. So, everything was fulfilled as stated by the prophets hundreds of years before Jesus ever walked on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
But yet they were, the Jewish nation was deceived by the Pharisees that literally worked for the synagogue of Satan. So my point is, on 15 Nisan, they crucified Jesus. On 15 Nisan, Isaac was tricked to bless Jacob. On 15 Nisan, Gideon's 300 was assembled. On 15 Nisan, 185 Assyrian soldiers were killed by God's angel. On 15 Nisan, Haman came to visit the king to try to get him to kill all the Jews. On 15 Nisan, they threw Daniel into the lion's den, and the lions wouldn't touch him. On 15 Nisan, this is critical, King Belshazzar drank from the vessels, and that night he died. That was the writing on the wall, Mene, Mene, Tekel, of Arsim. You've been weighed in the balance. Your kingdom has been weighed in the balances, meaning they've printed money like lunatics and found wanting, completely out of balance. And his kingdom came to an end that night, and it was given to the Medes and the Persians. This time around, it's going to be given to the church.
Well, I was going to say, sounds much like today with the printing of the money.
Well, want a little bit more? It sounds like today. What happened to Jesus Christ before they hung him on the cross? The authorities came to pick him up. Sound like something just happened yesterday? Get it?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. When did that? Yeah. It just happened to happen. The same exact time.
Man. Yes.
But think about it. It happened the exact same as what happened to Jesus.
Yes.
Only for the greatest resurrection Sunday you've ever imagined.
That's right.
Jesus Christ conquered evil. So what I'm trying to illustrate how awesome our God is and how stupid evil is to fall into the same trap over and over again, like they're moronic.
But did they even realize that they're doing these on such, biblical dates?
I don't know. And then, so this is the angel. Now, this is the critical one. This is the day the angel of death showed up, the 15th of Nisan, and killed Pharaoh's firstborn son and all of Egypt's firstborn, including the animals, meaning beasts. That day is tomorrow. Now, the interesting part is, Kent Christmas also stated that the angel of death is on the earth right now.
Oh, so Rachel Ham also had a dream about that. Did you hear about?
No, but I've been saying for a long time. So this is the Kent Christmas prophecy. But we've got the angel of death is on the earth right now. He stated that a couple of times, and the angel of death is this. This is the same angel that visited Pharaoh. It just happens to be 400 years, same as Mayflower.
Wow.
We're at 50 years from abortion being law in January of 1973. So this is Leviticus. Have you read Leviticus? Mm-hmm. Thou shalt consecrate the 50th year.
That's right.
And proclaim liberty throughout the land and all of its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee for you, sufficient for 3 years. I'm not making any of this up.
No.
What's the third seal of Revelation? Oh, what a coincidence. The horse is black. Angel of death.
Angel of death.
Get it?
Yes.
Look at the rider. He's got scales in his hands. When was the last time we talked about scales in someone's hand? Well, what do we say? Mene, Mene, Tekel, Upharsin. Your kingdom has come to an end. I'm trying to find it. It's right here. Here's the slide. Many, many tekel. Okay, so my point is God has numbered your
What do
days.
those mean? What do those words mean?
Okay, so God has numbered the days of your reign and
That's
brought it
mene.
to an end. You've been weighed in the balances and the scales and found deficient, being out of balance.
Wow.
Your kingdom has been divided and will be given to the Medes and the Persians. And on that day, he died. So May 1 is critical, but I believe we have two critical dates. One is April 6th, tomorrow. Now, Passover starts this evening and it goes until the 13th of April. So God is not bound by anything. He could do whatever he wants. Is he going to strike? I don't know. If he is going to strike, it'd have to be at Passover, which makes the most sense because Passover is specifically, it's one of his feasts. And what day he strikes on Passover, that's his secret. I don't know. What's he going to do? I don't know. He hasn't spoken that to any of his prophets, but he did say the angel of death is on the earth. And many prophets stated that there's thousands of deaths. So they're going to be mass deaths, sudden deaths. Okay.
Wow.
So
Now the angel of death like just came onto the earth, because I remember when Amanda Grace had a prophetic word that the spirit of Jezebel was going to go down on Rosh Hashanah, and then Ruth Bader Ginsburg died on Rosh Hashanah. What was that, 2 years ago?
Right. So the Ruth Bader Ginsburg cycle. So now again, she has a cycle too, right? Because what happened was, we talked about the Great Flood. It was 150 days. So Trump gets into office. We're going to talk Daniel's cycle of time. It's 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Half of that is 3.5 years. 3.5 years specifically is 1,260 days, precisely.
Mm-hmm.
So when Trump got elected on November 6th, might have been 8th, it was November 6th or the 8th of the year 2016, you count 1,260 days forward and oil went to negative $38 a barrel. First time in history. It was a historic financial event. That was a marker in time. So it flooded. The flood was 150 days of water rising. 150 days from April 20th, 2020, ended up being September 18th of 2020. And that's the day I said something big's going to happen. Okay. And Ginsburg dies.
So that was 2020. Wow.
It was 2020. And so what I said within 2 years of that event, because of the timelines of Joseph, I was guessing 2 years, 3 years max, you're going to have the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Well, it just happened to be, again, 3 times 7, the Trinity times 7. So 21 weeks later, Roe v. Wade was overturned.
Yes, I remember you called
3
that.
times 7. How insane is that, right?
Yes.
So it just shows you biblical timing.
How does it feel when you see it happening?
Well, it's crazy just because I just calculated days that I calculate, but I like Matthew, like to count. I like to count. I like to calculate, right? So I make these slides. Like it's like, I don't know. I just do it. I just get this passion to do this stuff.
It's great.
And then when I put it all together, it just, the story starts to unfold. What is Revelation? It's a story. It's a portrait that's unfolding before us, right? And so I'm just, every day I just get another piece, or every few days I get more pieces. I just keep expanding on my presentation. And everything that I basically put out is it's not my opinion. It's things that I might hear. I do get things prophetically, or like I do hear things, so I get the words at nighttime sometimes, and I just, from that I know what they mean. Sometimes I make a slide off of it. Sometimes I might hear a prophet say something, and I'll incorporate that, like I did here with Kent Christmas. The angel of death came onto the earth on December 31st of this year, the very last day, of last year.
Oh, wow.
And that was marked by the death of Pope Benedict on December 31. The link is right here. So when the angel of death showed up, it was marked by the death of Pope Benedict. And so this was not the current pope, but the one prior to. And so the angel of death visited him, and that marked the angel of death's arrival. The link is here if viewers wanted to watch it. And so the angel of death is now on the earth waiting to strike. Well, when would the angel of death strike? Well, if you study history, right, you study the Old Testament, he struck Pharaoh at Passover, and then the next morning he let Pharaoh let Israel go, which technically would be end of this week, tomorrow, Friday.
Right.
Now, again, I'm not putting a time window because we're literally at the day and the hour now. Okay. When it says no one knows the day or the hour, it means no one knows Matthew states it 3 times. You go read in that Bible. You can have all your viewers. You go scan that Bible and you tell me where it says no one knows the year. No one knows the month.
That's
Okay?
right. You're right.
That's not in there. When
The day and
God
the
says
hour. Right.
it is with precision. And the reason it's day and the hour, because no one knows the day or the hour that God's going to strike evil on this event. And the reason it's also no one knows the day or the hour, the reason he writes that is because of Rosh Hashanah, believe it or not. If you study Rosh Hashanah, it can vary and fluctuate every single year because it's when the first crescent moon is seen, and you have to see it before you can call the day. So you don't know the day or the hour until you see the crescent moon, until you see the birth of the new moon at Rosh Hashanah. And that's it always varies every September. So therefore, you don't know the day or the hour.
Speaking of
That's
moon,
written.
Elizabeth in the chat said tonight there's going to be a full pink moon. I don't know if that means anything.
Yeah. See, again, I don't study that. I don't study like, the astrology, but because astrology is more like stuff you're not supposed to look at, but or is it astronomy? But God God
Astronomy, the
specifically
stars. Yeah.
uses, but he did make the stars. He did make it for the times of the season, just like the wise men knew that Jesus Christ was born because of the Revelation 12 sign that was described. Okay, but you're not supposed to study astrology, right? But astronomy is what God laid out. And that's how you can calculate. That's how the wise men knew that the Messiah was born, right? And so it's great. I've went, and the blood moons are critical. So that's why I've done a bunch of stuff on studying the blood moons, and those are critical how they play out. But that's for another day. But blood moons are critical for what God is referencing on timelines. So right now, we got the angel of death. That's and we're literally waiting for the third seal of Revelation. 1, 2, 3. We got the first corona, second piece taken from the earth, the red horse, and now we're looking for the black horse of Revelation. Sound crazy? Think what you want, but prophecies have not been fulfilled yet. We have not seen the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous.
Right.
Have we seen that? Denise, is your bank loaded with cash? Right. My point is, we the people, right? And the reason I'm saying that is because Satan, the evil ones, they take the money and they remove the middle class, and they want to have the global elite and then the minions. Back to our start of presentation. My point I'm making in that conversation is they want to control humanity, and you do that with the money system. That's why every mortgage is backed by a bond. Car loans are nothing but backed by bonds. Everything's bonds, and bonds. Is bondage? Didn't that sound familiar?
Yes.
Pharaoh, Israel?
Absolutely.
I don't know. Sounds kind of familiar to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm trying to illustrate, right? This is no different than the
mortgage. Doesn't that come from debt?
Yeah, right. It's a death grip. Mortgage means death grip.
Yep.
And so it's got you gripped for at least 30 years, some 40. And so this is how the world operates, right? So, people are so excited. They go buy a house only to be now enslaved to Satan for the next 30 years.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the whole world is a complete joke in terms of its finance. Back to what we said, you've been weighed in the balances and found wanting. So the third seal of Revelation is the greatest financial event in human history. Period. That is what's about to happen. The greatest financial event in human history, coupled with a black horse of visitation.
Crazy question, Bo.
And the horse did not visit Goshen. He passed over at Passover.
Yes.
Which starts now. Crazy question. Go ahead.
Yeah. How come the churches don't know this? The pastors don't know this. Like, you don't hear anybody preaching this in the church.
Well, first off, it's very hard. It's not easy to understand timeline.
I just mean like the Jubilee part. Yeah.
The Jubilee is, to be honest with you, those are fantastic questions, right? But I think what happens is everybody, who's teaching these people, right? They're obviously, no one's really studying looking forward. They're just looking backwards all the time, right? And it's just for the same reason, like most churches won't even talk about Revelation.
Right.
I grew up Catholic. What a
Yeah.
joke.
Me
What I'm
too.
saying? It's just like them telling me what I'm supposed to do all the time,
Hmm.
but I did know deep down that there is a God, right? As much as I was born Catholic, I literally knew the story of, I don't know, whatever reason, but the Moses, like it was on TV every Easter, and I literally watched it maybe twice. I probably watched the story of Moses probably like 50 times, maybe 60 in my life. I don't know, maybe 70, 70.
Yeah.
I
Great
don't know, but
movie.
I'm telling you, but for some reason I was attracted to that story only to find out that now I'm talking about, like, this is crazy, right? But God had a purpose for all this. But the first time I saw it on TV, it blew my mind that there's a God and he can do these amazing things.
Amazing things. Yes.
And these, when I say amazing, I mean miracles. You see, we're about to see miracles. See, but the church doesn't want you to know miracles because they want you to fall in line and just, I don't know. They just want you to be obedient. But then you find out the churches, the mega churches, most of them had their doors all closed right during COVID because they don't want to be, because they're all tied in with the states, with each state, and they got the
Right.
501c3s. They don't want to lose their funding. They lose their 501c3. Now they got to pay taxes, and so all of this stuff is just, it's a control system called
Yep.
Babylon.
So
Actually,
that's the church in bondage.
yeah. It's a church. Yeah, it's like if I go to this, the best I can show you here is it's Mystery Babylon right here. It's Mystery Babylon is literally what runs the world. Here it is. I'll read this to you. It's the world's puppet masters, the Khazarian mafia, and it's the harlot sitting on the scarlet beast. So if you read Revelation 17, it's right in there. It talks about Mystery Babylon. So what is Mystery Babylon? The harlot is the deep state. So you've heard the deep state. And so who are they? They're not up front on the media, right? What they are, they hide in the shadows. That's why it's called mystery. So they hide in the shadows. So the harlot it's the deep state who is Mystery Babylon that works in the shadows, pulling the strings of world puppet leaders,
Right.
or the world leaders, and they control the 7 mountains. They're the puppet masters. Mm-hmm. That's what Mystery Babylon is, the puppet masters. What do they control? The church. There's your answer.
Mm-hmm.
Look what they're doing to the family.
Yeah.
How do they do it all? This is the biggie right here. Many tech. Okay, the finance. Okay, they did it with the money. They enslaved everybody, and then with the money, they can buy. They can control all the educators. They can tell them what they can't say, what they can't say. All the people that that run the school boards.
Right.
They'll pull their funding. Well, the government, what's there to say about that? These people are demon possessed. But again, why? Because they're all working for this agenda right here, Mystery Babylon. Entertainment, well, turn your TV on. What's there to watch anymore? You know what I'm saying? And then you got the media, right? So Hollywood, all of it's captured. So Mystery Babylon, they've captured the earth. So to answer your question, why? Because everything's captured. Everything, every facet of life is captured. These are the giants that were on the earth. Okay, every facet. This is it right here. This answers your question even further, right? The Khazarian mafia. What are they? They're the world's puppet masters. Okay, they're the fake Jews that's written about in the Bible. Yeah. They're liars. The reference in the Bible from the synagogue of Satan that hide in the shadows. Thus, Mystery Babylon, right. A worldwide syndicate with its origins going back 6,000 years to the Garden of Eden. Of Eden.
Yes.
Comprised of blood-drinking pedophiles.
Yeah.
Okay. They have unlimited money. That's key. Okay. They can create as much money as they want and is spent to hide them. Thus allowing them to stay, to secretly operate in the shadows. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is the, John F. Kennedy, his famous 1961 speech, The Secret Societies. Okay. This is who he was referencing.
Yeah. And we think George Soros is high up. No, he's the puppet.
Well, who knows? And
if we can see him, then he's not that high up.
Yeah, like he's probably he is definitely involved in it, being one of the puppet masters. Okay, but I would say but there's families above him.
But
you're
there's
right.
so many more higher up.
I think someone says like there's 13 families or something. I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? I'm just saying that they have they're in the trillions of what they have, and I'm not making this up. Jesus Christ, when he was on the earth, this is what Revelation 2 verse 9, Revelation 3 verse 9. It says, I know the blasphemy of those oppose you. They say they are Jews, but they are not,
Mm-hmm.
because their synagogue belongs to Satan. Okay, so this is specifically what Jesus was referencing when he says, you are of your father, the devil.
Right.
Okay, so that's who he was referencing. And so why? So this is Mystery Babylon. It started off as Nebuchadnezzar's dream, and he was the golden head, if you recall that prophecy of Daniel 2, right? And then this big statue now was what's called Mystery Babylon. And it describes Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, papacy,
Yes.
United States, all of it. Okay, so this is Mystery Babylon. It starts off as a statue, but now it's a mystery because now they work in the shadows.
Well, I have a question. Do you believe that the Antichrist is on the earth today?
Yeah, but he's not doesn't have the power yet. He's the I believe the person that occupies him that's going to be occupied is on the earth right now, but I don't believe the Antichrist spirit is in him just yet.
Okay, right.
If that makes sense, because it's not the time yet. The timeline for that is not set up until 2030 minimum. So when Agenda 2030 comes on, we don't even have. Since the thing is, people start talking about Revelation and because they know so much, what they're saying, we're about to go into the end of the mark of the beast, and this is all mark of the beast, and then like we're talking, someone else is talking about we're going into 1,000-year millennial reign. Right. People are so foolish in their and again, this is just what they're saying, and again, what it is, but they haven't calculated time, and so you can't tell me that that what we're seeing right now is the mark of the beast, because first off, did you renounce Christ when you took this in your arm? If you did take it, because if you took the shot but you didn't renounce Christ, okay, it wasn't the mark of the beast.
And I don't think you can take the mark accidentally.
No, exactly. That's that point. Exactly.
Right.
And so yes, they're trying different things. They're trying to do, okay, but whatever. Let's not even talk about that. My point is, it's not anything related to the mark and the Antichrist beast system. Period.
Right.
Period.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I agree.
The second question is, there's a couple bullet points, right? You read Deuteronomy, we're to be the lenders to the nations. Okay. Are we the lenders to the nations? It sure doesn't look like it to me. It sure looks like evil's in control of the finances right now, does it not to you? Right. So what part of that prophecy has been fulfilled? The other, the wealth of the sinner stored up for the righteous. Where's that happened so far?
Right.
So you can't start telling you that we're heading into nuclear war here, and we're into horrible things, or a mark of the beast system, because you don't understand the times and the seasons. My better question is to you, okay, so they crucified Jesus, so now we don't need a third temple because of what Jesus did for us.
Right. But Israel believes they did.
Absolutely. Bingo, bingo, ding, 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 ding. Right?
Yes.
We're going to build the third. So where is the third temple?
Yeah.
You see my point? There's
I was reading an article where this rabbi started collecting stones for the third temple. I mean, they didn't start building it. I'm just saying he's collecting stones to prepare.
Yeah. And so my point is, there's so much missing. But to answer your question, so the Antichrist system, I don't think, there's not even a peace treaty that's signed yet. So where's the peace treaty? Okay. So the point is, people just don't get it. And it's very sad. But again, I guess, they're just doing their best. They're just trying to do their best to interpret. But what I'm trying to illustrate is that there's so much missing yet.
I just think, and I agree with that statement, but I think if you are going to have a podcast or any kind of platform where you're speaking to many, many people, you really need to know what you're saying is accurate. I mean, that's just my opinion.
It's like that one.
Otherwise, you're deceiving many people.
Yes, and because so there's enough challenges in the church right now just to have clarity on anything. Think about it, right? Sure. And then so you want to at least give people some guidance, because none of this is easy to decipher. But then if there's people out there that are basically saying that we're, that all heck, you don't need to do anything because God's going to come just zap you out of here. Okay. That's like such a joke, because let me ask you a question. Is our God a victorious God, or is he scared of evil?
Right. Absolutely.
Like, seriously.
You're right.
There's so
That's
many
another thing. They're waiting for the what do they call it? The rapture rug?
Yeah, they're waiting for the rapture. Think about this. So my point is, like and Diane Larkin, this is like great because this lines up perfectly with my timelines. Okay. But she actually, this is a prophetic word God gave her, right? The world is full of liars, traitors, and thieves. You don't believe me? Turn the news on. Okay. Period. So this is the rapture junk that people are putting out there. This has been going on for this is an evil lie by the liars, by the traitors and thieves all across the world that basically push the agenda of this fear mentality, right? So this is this is the prophet. It's really wonderful. It's an escape. So the rapture is an escape mentality. And I'm not saying it's not. There is coming a rapture, but Jesus, let me ask you a question. When you married your husband, you were proud of marrying your husband, weren't you? Like you wanted him. He was the guy, right?
Yep.
You didn't come to save him, did you?
No.
See, you just answered the question. Jesus Christ is not coming to save anybody. He's coming for his glorious,
bride,
victorious, champion bride that stood the test of time and just conquered evil with the word. That's what Jesus comes. He's coming for a victory. He's coming for a victory lap, not to come take his bride out of here and save the bride. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You kidding me? He knows what evil is going to do before he does it. So why would he even be worried about evil? So this is the word. This escape mentality disarms and disempowers people from waging the victorious war they were designed for. My son is not an escape artist. He is a victorious king. Should not his bride, his very own sons and daughters, reflect that instead of hiding and waiting to be whisked away? No longer listen to liars,
good point,
traitors, and thieves.
Yeah. And there's some people out there that innocently believe what they believe, but they're so wrong.
Right.
But they're innocent.
It does talk about rapture. Basically, the word is caught up. It's First Thessalonians 4, verse 17. It says, "We who are still alive and remain on the earth will be caught up in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air." Yeah. That's correct. And then we come to earth with Jesus to live and reign on the earth with Christ King, fulfilling the Lord's Prayer. Thy kingdom come. Come on. Yes. It's all written, people. Yes. It's all written. You just got to put the pieces together and stop, and then just understand that, there's people that are, just don't get it. But what we're stepping into right now, it's important to understand like what we're stepping ourselves into here. But this is key. It's right here. It's the Daniel 2 verse 34 prophecy. So there's it's the same event.
The fall of Babylon.
The fall of Babylon. But this
now is Babylon America? What is Babylon?
No, so Babylon, it's right here. So this describes what Babylon is. It's Jeremiah 51 verse 7. Okay. Babylon, which is initially was America, was a golden cup. Why would America be the golden cup? Oh, maybe because we're founded under God. Like back to where, we're a covenant nation.
Yes.
So the United States was the golden cup. Okay, so Babylon was a golden cup in the Lord's hands.
Yeah.
She made the whole earth drunk. The US dollar. So the US dollar went around the world. They've created it out of thin air. They printed trillions upon quadrillions of dollars. The whole world is drunk with the money. And the whole world is now out of balance. Yes. And it's time for many, many tekel offshore scene. So the point is, we're stepping into, biblically, the fall of Babylon.
And
it says,
while the collapse of the economy?
While you were watching. So we're going to watch this. We're going to see it happen. A stone cut out by no human hand, meaning what? God's going to do this. Yeah. That's why 45 is not allowed to be there just yet, Because God's got to first get the glory, Denise.
Yes.
That's why the Brunson case hasn't panned out
Absolutely.
just yet.
Right.
Why? Because God gets the glory. That's why
I
this
agree.
other thing in Arizona, that case of whatever her name, that one lady running for the governor of the state, Carrie,
Carrie
Lake,
Lake.
right? So why has she not won yet? Why any court case not won yet? Very simple, because God gets the glory.
Right.
You see, God gets the glory. The world's going to know that there's a God. Then and only then will things start to pan out. But first, Babylon must fall, and it's done by no human hand. Okay? God is going to
I agree.
take down Babylon. And this fall of Babylon is in conjunction with, it's the same prophecy. It's this third seal of Revelation. It's Revelation 18 also. It says, in a single day, the kings of the earth will weep and wail. You see what I'm saying? It's the same prophetic word. Different scriptures describing the same event. That's what's about to happen. It also, that same event is described in Revelation 13, verse 11, specifically 12, a mortal wound. Okay? A mortal wound is going to come to to the beast system that's up and running right now. See, but this is the part that people need to understand. If you're thinking we're going to go into a millennial reign, there's people preaching that, this event, now we head into 1,000 years of peace. Can the people that are saying that, they need to stop, read the Bible and Revelation and start counting seals, okay? This is only the third seal. There's 7 of them.
Yeah.
Okay. So the third seal is, it's a huge one because it's the fall of Babylon. Okay. But if you read Revelation 13, it's very clear. See reference to mortal wound. It's right here. Then I saw another beast rise out of the earth. Oh, that's interesting. Another beast rise out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. It exercised all the authority of the first beast, Mystery Babylon. And it makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, Mystery Babylon, whose mortal wound was healed. So we're going to go into
the first beast isn't the Antichrist, because everyone has to worship the Antichrist.
The first beast is Mystery Babylon.
Okay.
The first beast is what we discussed right here. The second beast is going to make you worship this first beast who comes back to life.
Got it.
Got it? So they're going to capture everything again. This beast comes back to life, but the second beast is going to make you worship this beast. They're going to come up with a new name, new flag colors, but the same stinking agenda.
Maybe 5 colors this time.
The same satanic agenda, right? That's what. So they come back with the same satanic agenda. But remember the story. If you can add on this, tell me the story of Joseph, right? Remember the story of Joseph in the Bible?
The Technicolor Dreamcoat, yes.
Right? So what did he do?
Brothers were jealous of him.
Yep. Yeah, and then he went from the pit to the palace in 2 years. How long has 45 been out of office? What a coincidence, right? It says 2 years, but we don't know exactly. I've read the scripture several times. We just know it's in the 2-year window. So after 2 years, so somewhere in the 2 years is ending now. So we should expect this year. So in other words, just on that that issue alone, I'm expecting 45 is going to be. He's going to walk into office this year. Period. Okay, that's what's going to happen. Why? He's going to fulfill the prophecy of Joseph, number one. Secondly, right, with the cycle of time, he's going to get 4 years, 3.5 years, because of Daniel's timeline calculations. So those who understand my calculations, when the first seal manifests, it's 360 days. It's 1,260 days. So the timeline's right here. It's 1,260 days. So 1,260 days takes us to June 25. So this is the evil window of time. So from Corona start to the third seal, 1,260 days, they're finished. Okay. So this whole section is an evil agenda, which is destroyed by the summer solstice.
Wow.
And that would be the 25th of May. The solstice is the 21st. It's interesting, the calculation I just got the other day. But when I started calculating time, I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting because, we've known about 45 having like powerful numbers, right? It's interesting from the day, from his birthday of June 14th of 1946, people made a big deal about this, but it was 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days in his first day in office. Remember that one?
Yes.
So it's triple sevens.
777. Yes.
Yeah. So, I don't. Again, I just find it fascinating that this triple seven. I don't gamble, but in Vegas, so that's a huge win right there if you get that right. But
That's
check
right.
this out: from his birth date of June 14th of 46, you had 77 years and 7 days, and you just happen to land on the summer solstice. Triple
That's
seven.
something how that works out.
It's perfect math, and that lines up perfectly with the summer solstice of what's coming up here. So from the winter crux to the summer solstice. What does light do to darkness? Exposes all the truths, all the deals done in the dark.
So what do you believe that will be seen, say, by the end of May, June?
Okay, so what I would say is this is what we're heading into. So this is the June 25 calculation. So we talked about, I just did the math for you. This is the Trump number, 777, 77 years, 7 days. Was it 7 months I did? Okay. Yeah. They both come up to the same number, June 25. Okay, actually, yes, summer solstice. This is 4 days later, 3 days later. June 25. So Matthew 24. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. Sound familiar? But see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. This is not the end. Understand? The Antichrist system would be heading us into the end. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you a question. You have a daughter. How was birth? Did it suck? Especially the very, very, it's the very, very tail end of birth, right before you give birth. Imagine all the pain going through.
The first two I had natural, so yes, it hurt.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm trying to illustrate here. So when you understand the timing, right, all we're stepping into is birth pain. So if we look at the statue, right, if this statue comes down, well, then something else has to come up, does it not? Right? So we're going to get the birth of a new era. So as Babylon falls, God's kingdom on earth is birthed. And then here we go. So we've got from Corona start, we got 1,260 days to June 25. And then there's our magic number. So this summer is going to be the Kim Clement prophecy of earthquakes and eruptions. God's going to be restructuring, reforming the earth. He's going to expose things that are hidden in the earth this summer.
Wait, can you say that again? What was the Kim Clement prophecy?
The 2 E's, earthquakes and eruptions.
Okay.
Summer will be the mediator between spring and fall, so that the fall can do its work in America. Which means that all truths are exposed by summertime. God's restructuring and exposing the things hidden in the earth this summer with earthquakes and eruptions. And then 45's back in here somewhere this year and before year end.
Wow.
And then the fall will do its work in America. They fall in fall. And these people that run the earth, that's reaping season, right? What happens in fall? What you have sown, thus shall you reap. Meaning, if you've sown evil seeds, you will receive the evil that you wanted, that you planted for the church. And the ones that planted good seeds are going to reap benefits, harvest like you've never, ever, ever imagined. We can't even imagine what's coming because it's going to be so glorious.
Yeah.
That's the point. So understand.
Right?
Yeah, and we're going to see
what he planned for Mordecai, he ended up hanging from it. Yeah.
Well, we've got the next 3 years. We've literally got the next 3 Purims. There's blood moons on the next 3, year 24, year 25, and year 26. This has never happened before.
Wow.
3 blood moons on 3 consecutive Purims.
Wow.
And
what does that mean? What do you think that means?
The Haman effect. It's the Haman effect. So what they have sown for us for the next 3 years, they will experience on their own head. So they will experience utter destruction on themselves or what they did. So that's 3.5 years. Here's the Haman effect right here. So starting August into the end of the year 2026, 3.5 years will be the Haman effect, and utter rejoicing across the entire globe is going to be manifested across the whole earth. And this is, like, remember the story of Joseph? It was 7 years of plenty, and then 7 years
Goes that 7 again.
7 years of famine, and here is your great tribulation.
7-year tribulation.
Right. Peace treaty will be signed. That'll be tied somehow with the Agenda 2030.
And I just wanted to clarify something, because people are saying, oh, Elon Musk is going to be the Antichrist. Like, they're predicting who the Antichrist is. But the way I interpret it, no one is going to know who this person is. He's going to come on the scene new. And the Bible says everyone is going to love him. Like, everyone is going to. So it's not going to be somebody we already know, where some people like him, some people don't. Do you agree with that?
Yes and no. There is a calculation that I ran that points to potentially somehow, if I can find it here, I've got all these slides here, but there's one guy that comes to mind that might be standing out as the character tied in with how this plays out.
Is he from France?
Well, you can see my slide right here.
Is he? Oh, okay.
So he's
But not everybody likes him.
Well, right.
I thought the Antichrist, everybody was going to be like enamored.
Last thing he signed a last piece of paper he signed signed over the internet into the over to the United Nations. And then the prophetic word that Julie Green also got was that he'll be saved for a later date. Okay. So I don't know.
Yeah. Nobody knows.
I find it fascinating. Right. No one, and it doesn't really matter, but we will know as time gets closer, because we have the calculations, right? So when you have the calculations, you can actually, per the calculations, know what's coming, and who potentially it could be, because it'll have to happen on specific dates. See, so I have the specific date, so we wait and watch what happens. It's like, does anything happen tomorrow or this week on Passover? I don't know, but I'm paying attention because we have specific dates, right? So that's a cool thing about having specific dates, right? Wow. Furthermore, like what happens, and then what happened? Like, think about this, right? After the angel of death, and then Pharaoh frees Israel. It takes Israel 18 days to get to the Red Sea. They camp at the Red Sea for 8 additional days. And then on the 25th day, they cross the Red Sea. And it was the 25th day, per Exodus calculations, that the Red Sea parted by the hand of God. Moses didn't know the Red Sea was going to part. Okay. It was God's secret. The checkmate move was a secret. Yeah. Just like we're about to witness. So that time point is lining up for our world, May 1, or the start of May. So do expect the present day pharaohs. Again, the 44 was left out of this one intentionally, because he's expected to be stored for a later date. So I don't know. I'm just telling you that the present day pharaohs that run this world are finished.
Well, hallelujah.
Not by my hand, okay? I'm nothing to do with this. I'm saying by the hand of God, there's going to be a biblical intervention expected in early May.
Because God will get the glory.
Because God will get the glory, right? So, and so the calculations, I'm just doing the math.
Right.
And so the math points to May, and the words that I wrote here is the puppet masters, who we talked about earlier, who control Mystery Babylon, are gone, or become completely unimportant, as the worldwide controls suddenly come to an end.
Wow.
Okay. And then that literally is going to be the best time in the world we've ever seen.
It's awesome.
And the worst time the world has ever seen, because when the glory comes upon the earth, it's always double, right? Like if you look at Pharaoh, it was the worst thing that ever happened to Egypt. It was utter destruction of a nation, the powerhouse of the world at the time. and utter freedom for the nation that was enslaved for 400 years in a single day. See, so you have to grasp the magnitude of what happens when the glory manifests on earth. So things are going to go dark, black. Don't expect everything to shut down. The prophetic word that I got was tying this in with Lazarus. He was dead in the tomb for 4 days. There's a lot of obviously mourning, right? But the point of the end of the story was so that the world might see the glory of God. Okay, and that's the essence of this entire presentation: is God's going to get the glory. God gets the glory. So the world can see the glory, right? When Jesus Christ read this, and we can maybe finish on this right here. When Jesus Christ read this in the temple, think about the timing. He started his ministry and he read Isaiah 61 in the synagogue.
That's right.
And then his ministry began. I want to read this and we can end this here. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because the Lord has anointed me to bring the good news. I'm bringing good news to the world here. I want people to understand this is good news.
This is.
Bring this to the poor. He has sent me to comfort the brokenhearted and to proclaim that the captives will be released and the prisoners will be freed. That's what's going on. To proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. This is the year of the Lord's favor, Denise, is the year of Jubilee. Jesus Christ was the Jubilee. He was the Jubilee. If you read Jubilee in Leviticus, it's for 3 years. Sufficient. It says in there, sufficient for 3 years. It's right in Leviticus. Jesus Christ was the Jubilee for 3 years. And he says, as this prophecy was read, it is fulfilled. As it was read, he never read the last line. Wow. And the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all those who mourn. And there wasn't no need for a vengeance because the Christ is on the earth. And now it's vengeance time. So we are about to witness the day of vengeance of our God. Daniel 2 verse 34 says, as you watched, we are going to watch the day of vengeance of our God. And we are this close. Passover starts tonight. Passover basically goes to the 13th. I'm just telling you, it's not my clock. It's God's feast. Period. And then we got the Red Sea miracle possible first week of May. And then we got the calculation for the summer solstice into the 25th, the 21st to the 25th of June. Game over. Then we got the restructuring of the earth in the summertime so that the fall can do its work in America as the new United States is born under God.
Praise God. Oh, thank you for this. How can someone get the presentation?
If your viewers want to take their phones out and just scan that QR code.
Nice.
Leave it up for a second, and you can get that. I'll also email it the QR little little link. And if you want to put this in the description box as well to the link, they can use either the link that will send you in a few minutes.
So they only see one barcode. Don't get confused.
Or they can scan it off their phone on that.
Excellent.
Go.
Excellent. And how can they reach you?
Our website is Gold.
I think I have it. Where is it?
Gold2020forecast.com. Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
That's my website and also YouTube channel. My name is just Bo, and then Polny on YouTube, and you can see my most recent videos.
So what if people want to get a hold of more detailed work, like on cryptocurrencies, gold and silver, like important dates? How would they do that?
Right. So if people are interested in more details, again, not everybody needs what I offer. What I've discussed with you today, I've gone through thousands and thousands of hours of providing information for people with regards to what's happening with regards to end times, or the beginning of the end. And so, but again, we're coming into a really special moment in time, Denise. Like, this is the third seal of Revelation, which is, like we discussed, it's like the greatest, it's the greatest financial event in human history. This is the moment in time that God is going to intervene on our worldly financial system and flip the scales on the money changers who have been controlling. When I say controlling, I literally mean manipulating the price of everything for generations. Okay. So, yes, we are in some critically important times that we're stepping into right now. So, if people are specifically interested, like in what are some of the great coins that we want to hold in terms of regard to cryptocurrencies? Because there's thousands of them, and 90% are going to go to junk in the future. Okay. You don't need 3, 4, 5,000 cryptocurrencies. You need 100, a dozen, but you don't need thousands of them. But in my report, I've done so much research on which are the good coins and which are the ones that are going to do super fantastic in the years ahead, because there are coins that are going to do incredible. Okay. And I know you've spoken to Manny many times before. The point is, Manny has Bitcoin going to $1 million. Okay, not tomorrow, but in the future. And he's, I would say, dead on.
I've heard that.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm saying he's dead on. It's just not tomorrow. And I fully agree with him. My point is, why is the world going to need Bitcoin? Okay. Or specifically cryptocurrencies for transactions? Very simple, because people are going to want to transact when the US dollar loses its status as a world reserve currency, because it falls from grace. Okay. President Trump was on the media yesterday when he spoke at Mar-a-Lago. He literally talked about the destruction of the US dollar. Okay. I've been speaking about the destruction of the US dollar since Saudi signed the contract with Russia. And that was on the 24th of August of the year 2021. I said that's going to mark the destruction and the fall of the world's reserve currency. Okay. So it's at our doorstep. Okay. So if your viewers are interested in finding out more details, so which coins are the ones that are going to really do awesome in the years ahead, because as great as those numbers sound for Bitcoin, the problem is it's $28,000 today. It's a little hard to buy even just one Bitcoin at that price for some people, right? But there are coins that are in the pennies, that are in the dollars, that are under $100, that are going to actually outperform Bitcoin on a percentage basis. They're going to go crazy relative to the price of Bitcoin. Okay. So there are cycle time points that are critical. I call them key time points. I use Daniel's timing for them, so I can calculate when they're like time windows. When does an upcycle come to an end? When does it crash? When does it run again? So if people are looking at those that are involved in trading, or actually not trading, just want to know how the cycles work and what are the good coins, I offer what's called a Bitcoin index. I don't know if you want to pop it on your screen here, but basically that's the Bitcoin index that people can get. It's a Bitcoin index. It covers a lot of specifically the coins that I have personally, okay, and done all the research on. And so it has a cycle patterns. And in addition to that, those, just to let you know, in the past 6 months, people are like wondering, what's Bitcoin doing or what's it going to do? Denise, I think in the pre-show, I even showed you this. Our cycle analysis predicted Bitcoin's movement for the past 6 months, Denise.
That's incredible.
To the mark. We've predicted every single move from the point A, point B. The point C was the crash of FTX. We predicted to the exact day.
Wow.
2 months in advance, or at least a month in advance. So cycles precede events. And so we've already had the breakout, and now we're going to have an explosion very soon here. We're going to come into a top. It's going to crash again, going to go higher. So there's a lot of movement coming in Bitcoin. And, so if your viewers are interested, we provide that information within this, what's called a Bitcoin index. They can subscribe to that. And again, what they can do is I've basically set this up for you. And so just, those of you who know Denise, and if, wanted to donate to Denise, and have never donated to Denise, but love what Denise does. And, you love Denise, but you've never given her a donation. This is what I'm going to do basically for the next 2 weeks. I just, I love you, Denise, and I have no issue doing this, but basically my Bitcoin index is we charge $99 for it. If you use the code Denise, it will drop it to $49. But here's the best part about it. All 49 of those dollars will go to Denise. So Denise is going to get all the money that people pay. So if they want to get the
Thank you.
subscription, you're going to have it for 2 weeks. You can analyze everything. You look at my reports going back years, you'll see like the accuracy is crazy on some of this stuff. And so I just wonder, we've had incredible accuracy. Do we get everything right 100%? No, but I don't think there's even anybody in the world that comes close to the accuracy that we have had.
You've come very
in the
close.
past 6 months is just crazy accurate. We also talk about gold and silver. So those that are interested in gold and silver, those are the exclusive gold turn dates. Same thing, just use that code Denise and you'll get it discounted. And then there's also that, the group of people that literally know zilch, nada, nothing about cryptocurrencies. Okay. And so if you know zip, nada, nothing, but you want to get involved, I put together this school here. It's called Easy Crypto School. And that pretty much defines what it does. It's a school, teaches you where to start, how to start, and then how to end up and not screw up so you don't lose coins, because it's very easy to make mistakes in this game of cryptocurrencies. But it's really simple if someone knows what they're doing. And so I've laid out 7 steps, but there's videos included within this presentation, and the video details exactly how to do it, how to move coins around, how it's all done. There's videos that show everything. And at the end of the day, it'll teach you how to hold your coins in a safe location so they don't get stolen. So there's nothing like when FTX crashed, there was nothing wrong with Bitcoin. It's the people that ran FTX screwed everybody. They stole the funds. Okay. So Bitcoin, nothing wrong with Bitcoin or the good cryptocurrencies, the good coins. It's the people that are involved, the middlemen are the ones that are doing. It's always these intermediary banks that are basically blowing up and stealing people's funds. So it's so critical to understand how you need to be in charge of your own personal wallet. And so we teach that as well too. So that's the point. We're heading into a wealth transfer. People want to know how to be involved in this, but cryptocurrency is the reason you need them. Yes, gold and silver are God's money. Okay, so if there's a hands up, gold or silver, cryptocurrency is gold or silver. You always want to make sure you got God's money. Haggai 2 verse 8, the silver and the gold are mine, saith the Lord. So you want to make sure you are holding God's money. However,
should the majority of your money be gold and silver?
You can always so the problem you're gonna when this event goes down, gold and silver are gonna get hard to get at these cheap, ridiculous prices, because they're going to go explode vertical, and then the spreads are going to get hard. So the prices are going to explode in terms of the price and then the spread to get your hand on it. And you won't be able to buy large volumes because you're just going to have a few billionaires come in and boom, it's all gone. Okay. So it's going to be so important to get involved as soon as possible. If you believe what I'm saying, you want to, I don't give it financial advice, but I personally have precious metals. Okay. Period. That's the truth. And so, because it's why it's God's money. But then the reason cryptocurrencies come into play, it's not evil money. Okay. Until the mark of the beast system comes up, which we talked about. Okay. There's nothing wrong with cryptocurrencies because people live worldwide. So I'm not going to be shipping a block of gold or silver to somebody in China, or forget China, they're going to go down, but to Germany or some other country that want to buy something, right? When you can click a button and it shows up a fraction of a second later. That's the reason for cryptocurrencies. It's transaction at distance, period. So we are a world of transactions. So when the dollar crashes, it's going to mark the end of the wire system, the end of the Federal Reserve System, but not the end of finance. We're just going to step into a new. Get it? So that's what's coming with a crash of the Federal Reserve System. The Federal, the Federal Reserve bankers. Those are the ones that have controlled humanity, no different than what Pharaoh did to Israel. And so we've talked about the bond and bondage, and all of this is about to come to an end. So again, if people want to learn more about cryptocurrencies, go to my website, gold2020forecast.com, and we can give you all the details. And, please use the code Denise so we can, if anything, give her a nice, a couple of weeks.
That's an amazing deal.
Little bonus. But anyways, something huge is coming, and those that want to participate, we're this close. It happened at Passover. The time is very little. And then you got the Red Sea miracle coming here in May. May is going to be crazy. Expect the banking institutions to collapse. I mean that. This is going to be a year the world's never going to forget.
I mean, I'm telling my own children, don't store up paper money because it's not going to have any value. Take it and put it in precious metals. Yeah.
So God bless you, Denise, for all you do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We love you. And thank you for all you do.
Love you too. Happy Passover. Happy Resurrection Sunday. Give my love to Sophia. And we'll have you back on again soon.